Albert A. Wall, the voice of the jungle, broadcasting on the DVC to all points unknown. If you're within the sound of my voice, you're listening to Welcome Home Podcast on the DVC.
Hello and welcome home. This episode of Welcome Home is brought to you by DVC Resale Market. Thank you for joining us on episode 260 of Welcome Home, a Disney Parks and Vacation Club podcast. I'm Tom. I'm here with Trevor.
Hi.
What's up, Trevor?
Not much. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. You know, it's getting hot here though. Like I don't do well in the heat. I know I live like in the South and stuff, but like I just don't.
You should come up here. You would like it up here right now.
I would.
The snow's gone and it's actually warm finally.
I would like that too. So I've been looking, I'm only like 3 weeks away from my Disney vacation. I've been like looking at, like the weather forecast ahead of time, because you do that, even though it's not that accurate 3 weeks out. And it's, just says like high 80s. And I'm just like, oh gosh. Like it's, Disney hot is just is rough. So,
yeah, I get that.
Yeah, but I mean, listen, I'm looking. Not that I'm not looking forward to it. I am. I'm just, it's funny though, Trevor, because you always talk about how like you like a month out or already like have a bag packed, and I'm like, I said to my wife a couple days ago, I'm like, I feel like we should have more together at this point, because we've done nothing. So
yeah, I mean, I feel like the difference is that you have
I can drive.
It's a lot easier for you to get stuff together, whereas for me, it's like I got to get everything on a plane, right?
No, that's a whole different thing, yeah. So, but before we talk about anything else, we should introduce our special guest. So this week we have Kerri on from DVC Resale Market. She's been on with us before, but it was a long time ago, and she was actually with DVC Rental Store at that point. So, so now she's with Resale Market. So, Kerri, welcome to the show. Thanks for coming back on again. Do you want to just give like a little background of, your Disney background, I guess, and what you do at Resale Market?
Sure. Thank you so much for having me back on as well. I know I'm kind of like resurfaced just with a completely different title, going from the rental store side into the resale market side, which I absolutely love because the resale side of things is really part of my roots with Disney. And so I'm originally from Massachusetts, from the New England area. I don't do the heat either. I don't know why I live in Florida sometimes, but I do.
I don't know how you do it. I couldn't do it.
The older I get, I don't know how I do it either, to be honest with you. Like, it's just getting worse and worse. But when you have Disney in your backyard, it kind of makes up for it.
It helps a little bit, yeah.
It does help a bit. But so, yeah, I'm from Massachusetts originally and came down on the college program. I mean, decades ago. I won't bore you with the details because it was so long ago. But I started back with the company full time in 2000, and then had a variety of roles with Disney, including being a DVC guide for a few years. I had gotten my real estate license and thought, who better to hang that with than Disney? And so I loved being a DVC guide and worked at Saratoga Springs. And that was during the time when we were selling Copper Creek had just launched.
Okay.
So we sold Copper Creek and Aulani, and Polynesian was not new, but newer at that time as well. And then, but prior to that, I was a Walt Disney World ambassador in 2008, which was like my little girl dream come true, to be an ambassador and sort of the emissary of goodwill for the company and the face of the company for a year. And I was also on the opening team for Club 33, which was super cool to bring Club 33 over to the East Coast. Yeah.
Oh, the East Coast Club 33, obviously, right?
Yes.
Obviously, the West Coast one was already established. So,
right.
Yeah, so.
West Coast had been established for some years, and then the East Coast was established in 2018. And then when COVID hit in 2020, I had hit 20 years with the company by that point. Wow. And I knew, you're around somewhere long enough. I thought my name's got to be on someone's list. I've been around too long to not know where this is going to go. And sure enough, I was part of the COVID layoffs, but actually I was kind of ready to make a change in my life. And so it didn't hit me as hard as I think a lot of other people it did. And one of my best friends and I, we launched this Facebook group called Ear for Each Other as a way to help furloughed cast members, kind of like sell their side hustles. And it ended up taking off, and there's over like 250,000 members now. And so anyway, the whole pivoting in like my life was really timed perfectly because then I came here and worked with Nick with World of DVC and DVC Rental Store and the entire company. And now to be here with Resale Market, it's like I've gone back to my DVC days, but in just an even better way because I get to work with Nick and Derek and Marissa and the amazing team at Resale Market, but we get to talk to buyers and sellers. And it's like, we're like 30% off of the price. So we're even better to talk to sometimes. We're going to save you a lot of money.
Much easier sale than when you were an actual DVC advisor, right?
A little bit. A little bit.
You know, what did you do when you were in the college program? What was your job there?
Oh gosh, the college program. I worked at Magic Kingdom.
Okay.
And I went to UMass Boston and I was recruited out of Northeastern University. And all I wanted to do, honestly, was work at the Great Movie Ride. Remember do we need like a moment of silence for the Great Movie Ride? Yeah. And that's all I wanted to do. I wanted to spiel. I was a dancer. I was kind of a performer kind of by nature. And like, I wanted to do that. And they were like, yeah, we think you'll be better to sell ice cream on Main Street. So I worked in the Main Street ice cream shop. At the time, the bakery, now it's Starbucks. And then I worked at the little Mickey, the little ice cream wagons where you sell the Mickey bars. And to this day, it was like the worst job ever.
Well, at least you were like a custodial cast member. I'm sure that was not fun.
Well, and then I became a recruiter also. I was a Disney recruiter for years. And so I would recruit for the college program. And I love to put students in food and beverage because I was like, if I can suffer through it, anybody can suffer through it. And custodial is actually one of the best roles because they have freedom. They can walk around.
Oh, true. Yeah.
There is a downside, of course, to that, but there's a downside with everything. But nothing was more traumatic than getting my, bright, shiny yellow piece of paper that was like, we've hired you for food and beverage. And I was like, that doesn't say the Great Movie Ride on it. So it was great though. And it was still to this day, I still say the hardest job I ever had because the food industry is just, my hat's off to anybody in the food industry. It's so difficult. And that's why I didn't go into it full time.
I think we've all had points of working in the food industry.
I worked at Burger King for 3 days.
3 days?
When I was in college, I worked there for 3 days. I'm like, I can't do this.
I know. It's so difficult. It is. But I did enjoy the college program and I needed life skills. I needed to learn how to live on my own a little bit. And, I didn't live at school. I commuted. UMass Boston's a commuter school. Yeah. And so my parents were like, why don't you go to the Disney college program and like be with roommates and, do something else. And so it was wonderful. It was wonderful. So, it didn't, definitely didn't deter me from coming back to the company. If anything, it gave me a bug and I wanted to come back and work full time with Disney. And I loved my 20 years. And I can't believe it's been 4 years since I've been a cast member. It's crazy to think that, but I love my time at World of DVC immensely. I wouldn't change a thing.
That's great. And just, talking to you, I feel like you would have made a very good spieler for a Great Movie Ride.
Thank you.
I think you would have been great because I've gotten some bad ones on the, in the past. Right? Get some that are not that into it. I feel like you would have been really into it.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome. So Jungle Cruise wasn't an option though either. You just wanted to do and actually probably that time, Animal Kingdom. If you were there during Animal Kingdom, the safari was. You could have done the safari too, right?
Well, thank you for thinking that it was only 20 years ago. My college was in 1994.
Oh, it's close. Okay. Well, it's not that far off. I mean, it's 5 years later they opened, right?
It wasn't even around at the time. And so thank you for thinking that. But no, I didn't. I wanted like the glitz, the glamour of Hollywood. Oh, yeah. That's really what I wanted. And I I think I'm pretty funny, but back then I didn't think I was very funny. So I'm like, I can't be the jokester on the Jungle Cruise. Like, I can do the adventure and the romance and the, all the acting of the Great Movie Ride. But the recruiter was like, no, we think that you'd be great for selling ice cream. I was like, oh.
Well, I mean, Great Movie Ride too. You got to like do like physical stuff too, where you had to like, jump off the ride vehicle and like,
it's a different energy really, if you think about it. Than,
it is
like Jungle Cruise. Yeah.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. It's a whole different energy. Yeah. So, I like that we've had you on for like 10 minutes now. We've not spoken about DVC at all. But I remember you last time being on the show talking about the Ear for You group, and I know of many people that have joined that group and used the services of those people. So I'm glad that that's still going strong, and that you know, it seems like a lot of, you know, businesses have popped up out of that, and you know, that are continuing on, even though, you know, Disney's back to pretty much normal at this point. So
pretty much normal. It's amazing to see the side hustles that turned into full-time business where people opted not to go back to Disney, or did go back to Disney and, you know, still continue to do their part-time work. It's just a testament to the love of the cast members and the community, I think, that Disney has, that when you have those of us, like the three of us right here, that love Disney, Walt Disney, the culture, the people, when guests saw that the cast had a need, it was like, how can we help? What can we do? Who do we call? And I think that the legendary service that Disney has, you know, instilled in all of us is just part of what Ear for Each Other is all about as well. So thank you. It's been great. It's been great. And we look at it every day and go, how many people?
Yeah, that's amazing. All right, well, let's talk resale, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we got some questions lined up for you here. So
yeah. I wrote most of these. I don't know where our audience is this week. I don't know if they're on vacation or just not paying attention, but we didn't get a lot of listener questions. But Trevor and I have a lot of questions. So.
Yeah,
yes, of course. Great. And we are going to put you in the hot seat. So, you know, hopefully these questions are, or if they're too far out in left field, I mean, fine. You know, we're not expecting you to be an expert in everything, but I guess we'll start with, I think this is an easy one.
We're going to make you recklessly speculate later, but this is pretty straightforward.
Yeah. So the question is what is the state of the resale market right now? Is it a buyer seller's market, or is there any trends that you're noticing?
Yeah, that's a great question. It's trending more towards a buyer's market right now. Honestly, we have so many listings, thousands of listings on our site, and we are seeing a trend with buyers, coming in and making some strong offers. A lot of add-on contracts that we're seeing too. Add-on-itis is alive and well. So we are seeing some really, some change with that. You know, there's a lot of great listings out there and a lot of really great deals out there, but the trend is we are now seeing it turn into a buyer's market.
Interesting.
Okay. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Why do you think that is?
It's interesting. I think there's might be a little bit of a breath of fresh air in Disney. Right now it's, the news, well, the past couple of days, there's been some new news, but like the news has really simmered down. Disney, if you recall, there was a time where Disney was like, Disney was never in the news for good news.
It was drama. It wasn't like announcements. It was drama.
No, it was always.
Now we're shifting towards the positive. So.
I think we're shifting towards the positive. I do. I think also, the community of DVC, the generations that are, passing this down, or I'm seeing a lot of members saying, I have DVC. Now my mom wants it. Now my daughter wants a contract. Now my neighbor wants a contract. So, Disney's own fan base is sometimes the best marketers because, they'll be the ones that will say, you should buy DVC. Why are you going to pay, X amount of dollars at the Polynesian or the Grand Floridian when you could buy DVC and have a contract for 40 years or whatnot? So I think because Disney's been in the news for some good reasons, there's some positive breath of fresh air. We saw that revenge travel right after COVID where people were kind of cooped up. I think that's pretty much stabilized now. And now, people are thinking about maybe more long-term, maybe some effects of COVID, but I really do think a lot of it has to do with because Disney's been just in a more positive light. That's
good. Yeah, that's good. So, to your point, there's been a lot of really good positive stuff. We've been talking about, all the new announcements that are probably going to be coming soon here and all the rumors. And we've got a few more today that we're going to talk about. But I think last time we had somebody on, Trevor, I think there was some sort of special going on at DVC Resale. But I don't know if there's anything going on now, Kerri.
Yeah, so we do have our we call it certified hot deals. Oh. And what that is when you see a certified hot deal, CHP for short, for those of us in the know, the chip deals. Those are, I love, me too. Give me a good acronym any day. I love it. Those are seller agreed to be 10% off of the listing price, or off of the market price, I should say. And so those have already been discounted an additional 10% off. So you're already getting such a great deal with Resale Market. Now you're getting an additional 10% off. So the great thing with these is that there's no quote haggling. There's no negotiating. If it's literally like walking in a store and going, I like that and I'll take this, and it's yours. Because you just click on, the make an offer, put in the list price, whatever it is, $100 a point, $160 a point, whatever it might be. And it's basically yours as long as there's no other offer on it. So that's really good, especially for somebody who knows exactly what they want, or adding on a contract. We are getting, I don't think we have as many of those as we have had at the beginning of the month, but you can still find them, the certified hot deals. And then there's some contracts that even have like a lower down payment. So some of them have like a 5% down payment, a no credit check, on contracts like the Boardwalk, Copper Creek, Bay Lake, Tower, and Saratoga Springs. So there are some really, really great deals out there. And on those with the 5%, down and no credit check, I always say to the buyers, come in with your strongest offer. You're buying like a buyer. You have to think a little bit like a seller. You don't want to give this, they're not going to give this away. So be strong in your offer and you'll find a great deal.
Nice. Right. Okay. That makes sense.
So Tom, I'm just looking at these, some of the certified hot.
Hot deals. Okay.
Yeah. So there are some Animal Kingdom contracts that you may
don't do this to me. So Kerri, for reference, I made the mistake years and years ago. And actually it's funny because when I put the offer in for this, Nick called me right after I put the offer in. This is like 7 or 8 years ago, probably when he was less busy. Right. So I put in this offer and he calls me and he's like, listen, this is a different use year than you already have. It's doable. It's not great though. But it's doable. You can do it. It just takes some more effort. And I was like, okay, all right. You know what? This is too good of a contract to pass up. Let me do it. I hate having different use years. It's really frustrating. And so I've been thinking for a while about trying to swap my contract, right? So trying to get rid of this other contract and get a new contract with the same use year as my other two contracts. So one of these days I'm going to get it done. The problem is the one I bought is a 110 point contract. And I feel like I never seen a 110 point contract.
Some of these are less than 110 points, Tom.
Yeah.
Well, I want 110 point though. I like my 110 point.
Well, what if it was less than 110 points?
Well, then I got to buy multiple contracts to get to 110 again.
Yeah.
I want to be at 110.
Okay, fair. Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, having the same use year, he's right. That does make a difference. Because then
it was just funny that he called me and was like, "You sure you want to do this?"
I know.
Sure. Yeah.
See, we're guiding you. We're not selling you on anything. We want to make sure it works for you because that's important. Yeah.
Yeah, that was probably 7 or 8 years ago when I did that.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Anyway. But yes, Trevor, I will have to take a look. I do have the app I have your app on my phone and I have like the alerts, for like when a contract pops up that meets my specifications.
Yeah.
Of course, if putting in 110 points, nothing ever comes up ever. I mean, I guess I could just do more or a little bit less, just do 100. If I were doing 100, that'd be easy.
Yeah. I have seen 110 and 120. So 100, 110, 120. The alert is the best thing to do. I was going to say that if you don't have the app is awesome because you can put it just like you said, you put that alert on there and it will, as some people have said, it dangerously tells me when something's available. I'm like, well, that's good. Now you won't miss out.
Well, it's, you say that, right? We've talked about this before, like when you get that alert and then how easy it is to put the offer in, on the app or on the website. And it's just like, it's way too easy to spend a lot of money, really. I just spent a lot of money. So
knee-jerk reactions are dangerous with with that app. Yeah.
It's like, this needs to be harder. To your point, there's a 120 point Animal Kingdom one on here with an April. Oh wait, yeah, it's gonna. Oh no, I haven't March this year.
So close.
So close. It's so
close. We almost had it done.
Yeah. The current one that's the wrong one that's against the other two is April. So I need a March.
You need March then. Yeah.
Yeah, I need a March. Anyway,
okay. So we do have some speculation questions here for you now,
I like this.
Kerri. So do you have any theories on where the next DVC lounge is going to be? Because we know that Disney said, or DVC has announced that they're building another lounge, but we've all kind of guessed on it. Do you have a hot take on this?
And we also discussed the rumor that it's going to go in the Frontierland shooting, the shooting gallery.
Yes,
but
it's the shooting gallery.
Well, that's the rumor, but we're like, it's too small. Like, how are they going to put a lounge there? Yeah,
it is small. Well, and there is one coming to Disney Springs.
Yeah,
yes.
Disney Springs. Yeah,
yeah, Disney Springs. So then there's Epcot and Bay Lake Tower. I think that they would. It's hard to say. I think the ones the one at Epcot is good. I personally don't love the one at Epcot because it's that glass ceiling and it's hot in there. And I don't know. I think that could have gone in a different spot. Magic Kingdom would be super cool to do, to have a lounge. And I agree. Frontierland, that little spot, that is tiny.
It's way too small.
But with the new expansion and the new news with Magic Kingdom just coming out, maybe a DVC lounge will go there as they're expanding behind.
I didn't think about that.
Yeah, that would be a great thing to put on that, that design work is like if you're going to expand past Thunder Mountain, and kind of there's a lot of space back there, that backstage area, then do you put, a member lounge back there that's bigger? I even think it would be so cool to like have a member dining experience also.
Ooh. Like Club 33 kind of?
Yeah,
but like,
kind of. Well, I've always said that about Club 33 is that I think what makes it so special at Disneyland is that you can get dressed up and something fancy and go in and have dinner there. The blessing of Disneyland is with that type of, experience is that it's not that far. I would never expect someone to dress fancy and dress up at Epcot and have to park and walk. And you're a mess by the time you get to the lounge, if you have to dress up. But I think maybe something at Magic Kingdom where, it doesn't need to be formal, but maybe it's a nicer restaurant or a steakhouse or something where they could do like nice member events. I think that's my personal, if I was sitting at that table, that's what I would say is include like a nice member lounge that's something a little bit bigger where you've got two spaces. You've got the lounge, kind of that respite area, but then you've also got like a dining option too that's member only. How fabulous.
Is Magic Kingdom your choice for, like, if you had to choose what park to put another DVC lounge into, would it be Magic Kingdom or would you choose one of the other two?
Okay, so I'll try not to make this too long.
No, make it long. It's fine. This is great.
I would do two things. I would relocate the one at Epcot because I just don't like that location. I know. Now, where would I put it? I'm not sure where I would put it at Epcot, but I would do it maybe like, I was going to say the Norway. Norway has like a VIP lounge.
Oh, yeah.
But the only problem with that is there's no windows up there. But I still think you could make that a cool experience.
Mm-hmm.
But I would do something I would relocate Epcot and then I would do Magic Kingdom. I would. Yeah.
So Magic Kingdom is your choice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I see. I personally, I like the windows in the lounge piece because I like the view that you get. I get what you're saying though about it being hot, but it is a little out of the way over in the Imagination Pavilion. Like, it's
You can have windows without it being a glass dome, though.
Yes.
That's a fair point.
You feel like you're sitting in a greenhouse. Is that
you
what
do?
you do?
Yes, you feel like you're baking in a greenhouse. Exactly. Like it's a nice space, and I love a good view, but on
a hot day, it's not good.
Yeah. I feel like that lounge that sits behind Spaceship Earth there, because that one has windows, right?
Yes.
So like, why don't they just use that for the lounge? I mean, I don't know if they can, but I mean, that would be a good.
That was I want to say that was a Siemens lounge, was it?
Yeah,
for a long time?
I think so. Yeah,
and that was a beautiful lounge. I think I was only up there one time, but yes, excellent views.
Okay,
really cool.
So yeah, let's do that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to be very interested to see what happens with this whole theory that it's going to be in the shooting gallery thing, because it just feels like it's, like we said, it's too small, and it feels kind of weird. I mean, I think they did say they were going to do it this year, though, right? Like, wasn't that going to be?
So too. Yeah,
I think they said it would be done this year. So I mean, we'll see. I guess they've announced stuff before, and then they take a longer time than they think. So
they do. And I just think if I'm paying attention, like I try to, I think the one complaint that a lot of members have is capacity.
Yeah.
The rooms are scarce online. I couldn't get into Moonlight Magic. Things seem to be selling out. How is this possible? I was online at, midnight and I couldn't get a ticket, or, so I think that that always seems to be the complaint of like capacity. And so how do you then get ahead of that? How do you solve for that? Do you build this massive space? No, but how do you do it where not everybody wants to sit and have dinner, but not also everybody has children with them? So how do you make a lounge that kind of appeases both? I don't know the answer to that necessarily, but I think that it's got to be something where, like you said, it's not this little shoebox of a place where members feel like they can't get in to it. So
yeah, and that's like when we were originally talking about this, I think I'd said, Magic Kingdom would be great, but you're talking about the busiest theme park in the world. You need to have a large space, like a really large space. You can't put it in a tiny space, or it's gonna, like you said, it's always gonna have a long line. So that's why I was surprised when I heard this. Like, this is definitely not on my bingo card. Like, I didn't think this was, it's like, okay, well, that's kind of weird. Like,
I don't want to buy lighting lanes to get into the lounge either.
That's what we're getting to, right?
Yeah.
We're going to have DVC Plus, and you're going to have to.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I said last episode that they should just turn Tom Sawyer Island into one big DVC lounge, and just
There's actually a lot of space on Tom Sawyer Island.
That's what I'm saying. Just turn it into one big DVC lounge.
That's a great space over there. Yeah.
That would make people so mad, though. Also, so I've noticed, and I just looked at the Rover report, and there doesn't seem to be a lot, but I've seen in some of the DVC sites and groups that it seems like Disney's starting to buy back some poly contracts specifically.
Right.
And do we know? I mean, do you have any ideas what that's about? Is that just ahead of the tower? They're trying to buy some contracts back, or?
Well, it's interesting because it was kind of like a jolt to all of us too when we were like, oh my gosh, like Disney, exercised their right of first refusal. Like, this is crazy. So far to date, there's been 3 DVC contracts that have sold back. We have we've sold over 1,200 contracts. Excuse me. And
so it's still small.
It's still very small. Yeah. I mean, about 99.8% have been waived in 2024. So the majority have been. And I think this sudden interest in Polynesian, could be linked to the declining trend in overall resale prices over the past year as well. Kind of aiming to prevent Polynesian from becoming too attractive, to the resale market. So when a buyer will say to me, like, what do you think? Do you think Disney will buy this back? It's like, we literally don't know. We can make an educated guess to say history tells us that you'll be fine. They won't exercise their right of first refusal, but now buying back, at least 3 of the Polynesian contracts. And the one that they bought back from us was a 100-point contract. It was the December use year, and it was 135 points. So $135 per point, excuse me.
$135 per point. Okay.
$135 per point for 100 points. Yeah, that's an awesome deal.
I was just saying, that's pretty low for
very low.
Yeah.
Wow. We typically don't see Polynesian be mainly under like 150-ish.
Yeah.
The smaller the contract, the higher the price.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been crazy to see what's been happening too.
Do you think now that the Rofer monster's been woken up a little bit that it's going to continue in that direction, or are they just going to continue buying 2 or 3 contracts here and there? Like, because obviously before this, like a couple of years ago, they were buying a lot more contracts back, right? It's not just a couple here and there. And then there was this time period, I forget when, it was over the past few months where they bought nothing, right?
Yeah.
And then now it seems like they're slowly making their way back into buying again. But I don't know if you feel like that's going to continue, and I know you can't predict the future, but we're
yeah. I mean, it's hard to say. I think with them buying it back, it does keep the price a little bit more competitive as well. That we want to price them well, and have buyers come in with strong offers. If that's the trend that Disney bought back, $135 per point, 100-point contract, was it then priced just too low, where they did buy it back? It's hard to say. It's hard to say what's going to happen. definitely something to keep all of our eyes on. And I can't say that we're surprised that it happened, but it was like, because we knew eventually the Rover monster is going to wake up.
Yeah.
It has to. But I think when it did happen, we were like, oh, wait a minute, what? So it was a shock to us, but, more to come, more to see. And I think that's why it's important as we're trending in a buyer's market for buyers to make a strong offer.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
We had a listener last episode ask if we feel like the DVC resorts are becoming oversaturated, if there's just too many DVC resorts. But I guess the question that relates to this question is, do you think that DVC is going to keep building resorts? And if they are going to keep building resorts, where are they going to put the next one?
Yeah. I don't know. My crystal ball. Let me see.
So we're just making you guess. We're putting you in the spot here. We like to recklessly speculate on the show. We just make things up. It's great.
Well, make stuff up. I always call myself like, I don't know what age you have to be to consider yourself a traditionalist, but I've aged myself probably by saying that. I am more of a Disney traditionalist, where I love the teachings of Walt Disney, and I loved his philosophy on service and, listening to the guests, listening to the people. And he would wander around Disneyland, just to overhear, thinking he was incognito with a hat and sunglasses on. Everybody knew who he was.
It's the old Marvel trick, right?
Exactly, right? Yeah. He's sitting on a bench thinking that no one knows who he is, and he's overhearing conversations. But he would say, like, listen to what the public is saying, listen to what the people are saying. And, so while I'm all for growth, of course, I think you have to take care of what you have. And so, with the refurbishments of Boardwalk, Boulder Ridge was, my gosh, if anyone needed a facelift, it was Boulder Ridge, and now it's beautiful. So it's hard to say if they'll continue to build or add on to existing, resorts like Polynesian, Grand Floridian. I personally, I've got two ideas that, two theories in my head that I'm like, what if you took Port Orleans, like took a moderate resort, because the grounds are so beautiful there. It's right next to Old Key West. And what if you turned half of that into some sort of a DVC, membership? And then on the flip side to that, you did something off property that was maybe all inclusive or very high end, like in the mountains of Idaho, or, the beaches, the coast of California, or something like that. Cause I personally like the destination DVC resorts a lot. I love that because, I've been going to the parks my whole life. And so I love the parks, of course, but we are more DVC resort users than like, we're going to just drop our stuff and go to the parks. We're going to use the resort. And so I'm a huge fan of Vero and Hilton Head. And I've yet to go to Aulani, but like, I already love Aulani. So I think doing something on like both the moderate side and the luxury side, I think DVC could tap into both of those.
Well, and they're kind of already dipping their toe into the moderate thing with the cabins, right, over at Fort Worth.
Yeah, that's
right.
True.
So I almost feel like maybe that's their, like, let's see how this works out. Maybe we'll
Pilot,
do
the trial. Yeah.
Because I mean, and not to say that it's a moderate over there, but I mean, it is kind of more moderate type of accommodations, right? So it's, I do wonder if that's kind of where they're trending, and if they're like, well, let's try this out, see how it goes, and if this is successful, then maybe we can we can do more of this, right?
Right. There's such the community of DVC, the members. I mean, you just don't find a stronger community of people than DVC, where there's an ownership, but there's a protection of it as well, that I find, with both buyers and sellers, that sellers, if they are selling it because their family doesn't go any longer, typically the person I'm talking to is just devastated. They're like, yeah, my kids don't want it. Like my wife and I, or my husband and I, like we're not going to use it. We're kind of crushed to sell it, but it's time. And then you've got the buyers coming on going, we've been on the outskirts, listening to podcasts, reading reports, looking at blogs, and we want to be part of this community. And so Disney has they've built this amazing group of people that just have this buy-in, that I think if you listen to what they're saying, they'll tell you where the next place should be. Definitely.
That makes total sense.
I think the parks are just so crowded right now. And so with the expansion of Magic Kingdom, that's great, because you're building now the tower at Polynesian, And it's just more and more people coming to the resorts. Where do you put them if they're all going to go to the parks?
Yeah.
You've got to continue to expand the parks then, or build a new park.
There's a balance there, is what I'm hearing. That
has to be a balance. Yeah.
As long as you continue expanding the parks, you can continue expanding the resorts, right?
I think so.
Which I think they're going to do. I mean, we seems like they're going to, and be expanding quite a bit, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right,
Trevor, you want to ask Jeremy's question?
Yeah. So Jeremy gave us an interesting question here. So he says, "Is the resale exclusion for Riviera locked in stone? Even if Disney figures out it was a terrible move based on direct sales of property, can Disney not change the terms or can they change the terms even though it was made that way?"
That's a great question.
And we know you're not a lawyer like that.
Yeah, no, not a lawyer.
You're not a lawyer? What?
No, not a lawyer. Pure speculation. I don't think that they'll ever change it. I don't. I think that I think Disney will keep it as a restricted resort where, if you purchase resale, that's where you're going to stay is Riviera. And there is a group for that. There is a group that love Riviera. So I don't think it will ever change. I think it will stay the same. And I certainly don't think Disney's going to say, yeah, maybe we made an error with that. No, I worked there for too long to know Disney doesn't ever do that, even though we see it and go, maybe that wasn't the best decision.
Do you think they regret the decision at all? Or, I mean, do you think they're okay?
No, I don't think that they do. I don't.
It worked out well for them, I guess, right?
I think so. Yeah.
I would argue if they thought it was a bad idea, they wouldn't have done it at the Disneyland hotel.
Yeah, they wouldn't continue to do it. Right. Yeah. And this is what I say about Riviera too. Like, so if you want to stay at Riviera, but you have resale points, rent out those points, take that cash and go book Riviera. And there you go. Now you can do it. Exactly. That's what I would say. Yeah. And I like Riviera. I think it's got its good points. I love that, Topolino's is beautiful. I think the rooms are absolutely beautiful.
Skyliner station.
Oh, Skyliner.
Positioning is actually pretty fantastic.
It really is. What I don't love about Riviera is the hot pink Caribbean beach right outside the door.
So really, it's not Riviera's fault. It's just the resort that everyone loves to hate. Yeah. It's Caribbean.
I stayed there. It was fine. Yeah. I mean, it's not the worst resort.
It's not. No, by far. And I'm in the minority with that because I hear people go, "Oh, what? That doesn't bother me." Between that and I wish they had done like big Four Seasons palm trees like they have at the Four Seasons. I think they skimped on the palm trees. But then again, I'm not a palm tree girl. I just think the trees could have been a little bit more luxurious. But I do think Riviera is beautiful. But that's what I would do if, I have Grand Floridian points with Resale Market. So rent those out, take that and pay cash for my room at Riviera.
Well, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Well, Kerri, before we let you go, is there anything, Trevor, I don't know if you had any additional questions or Kerri, if you had anything else you wanted to cover before we let you go.
Yeah. Trevor, I'll let you go first. If you're
I don't have any more questions for you. Just glad to have you back on the show again. It was great talking to you. Yeah.
I know. Likewise, I love being back, and thank you again for asking. I'll come back anytime you want. No, I think like we kind of opened the show saying it's turning into a buyer's market. If there's a great a chance to dive in and jump in with both feet, now's the time. Kind of similar to the housing market. Like, when do you jump in and then when does it just become like it's circling so fast you can't make a move? So this might be a great time to do that. And I think there's so much good energy around Disney right now and around DVC that stay close to the blogs that we have on our website. That always gives good information. And then just reach out, with any questions that anybody might have. We're always happy to help and guide. I never want someone to make a hasty decision, in doing this. So I'm here for the long haul with people. I don't think it's a one-time purchase or it's got to be done today. It's got to be a decision that makes sense. It's got to be, a contract that makes sense. And that's one of the reasons I absolutely love what I do, is I feel like I can help guide people and counsel people through this journey. So it's been great. And so great to spend some time with both of you.
Yeah. And how can our listeners reach out to you?
Yeah. So my email is Kerri, Kerri. There's a bunch of ways to spell that, but Kerri at dvcresalemarket.com. And then if you go to our website, dvcresalemarket.com, and click team all the way down, I'm part of the team in the I think I'm the last picture, which I actually like. I like being a bookend. So, right, like I've kind of, I think it's
just scroll down and there
just
you are.
scroll down.
Yeah.
I'm not in the middle. I'm kind of bookending it. So,
Nice.
But yeah, I'd happy to help or answer any questions that anybody has.
Yeah, so please reach out to Kerri. Thank you so much for coming in. Trevor, I don't know if you had something else to say. I feel like
no, you're good. We're good.
All right, cool. Well, thanks again, Kerri, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Thank you.
Yeah, so it was great having Kerri on again. It's been a long time. Like we said last time we talked to her, she was at rental store.
Yeah, it was funny. I forgot about the stuff that she was doing around the Facebook group and everything. I was like, oh yeah, that was
I was going to bring it up, but I was going to bring it up, and I was like, is that was Kerri, right? Like I didn't want to be wrong about that,
Yeah. But it's fantastic. And hopefully if anybody, needs somebody at DVC Resale Market, check Kerri out because she is ready and willing to help you guys.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. And I guess, speaking of DVC Resale Market, we're just going to do our ad here. And
excellent transition.
Yeah. And we'll get that done, and then we'll get back to the rest of the stuff we have on this episode. So DVC Resale Market, as a World of DVC company, is the leader in the DVC resale industry with 13 former Disney Vacation Club guides and 3 former Disney Vacation Club quality assurance managers. If you're thinking of buying DVC, browse the largest selection of DVC resale listings anywhere, with DVC experts on hand 7 days a week to answer your questions. If you're thinking of selling, turn to the friendly professionals at DVC Resale Market, where over 98% of listings sell within 30 days. In 2023, DVC Resale Market helped over 4,400 families join or add on to their memberships. Go to dvcresalemarket.com/welcome home or call 1-844-DVC-PROS. That's 382-7767. When you do speak to them, be sure to let them know that Welcome Home sent you.
All right. So This was actually a topic that was on last week's rundown, but we didn't get to because there were so many things.
I was going to say, I thought we talked about this, but I realized, we
did talk about it because you thought it was an April Fool's joke.
Yeah, but we talked about it before the episode.
We did. Yeah, we talked about it before the episode.
Yeah. So the timing of when this, so the Disney files a patent for a more aggressive soaring style flying theater attraction, which to me that sounded like, okay, Soarin feels like pretty movement heavy. And because it was released like right before April Fool's Day, I thought it was like a joke. Yeah, it just seemed like, okay, yeah, like what is there to do about this? But apparently, yeah, it is true, or not true. Sorry, I shouldn't say that.
Real.
It's real in that the rumor is it'll have more. They describe it as more aggressive with heaving, pitching, and rolling to simulate turbulence, which, for anybody that has motion sickness, this is not the thing for you.
It's not for you.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny though, because I feel like people always describe Flight of Passage as a more aggressive Soarin', right? Like, yeah. So and given it's different, right? Like this design is you're sitting, right? And you're not really sitting on Flight of Passage or on that, that motorcycle.
You're on like a motorbike. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So like this is different. But I do think it's interesting that they filed a patent for this. And I don't know. I don't think this means that they're going to make Soarin' more aggressive. I think if anything, they'll use this for some sort of other application, right?
Yeah.
I don't think that that's what they're trying to do here.
I mean, the interesting thing is looking at the diagrams on the patent and everything. It does kind of look like Soarin', like it has that same like how everybody gets in and then it kind of like moves you forward and comes upwards. But like you said, I wouldn't assume that it's like, oh, they're going to redo Soarin' and it's going to be this new thing. But you're right. I can see them, planning for Soarin'. I don't want to call it Soarin' 2, but I guess, Soarin' 2.
Soarin' 2.0.
Yeah. Like a newer, it'll be a different ride using the same ride mechanism. Right.
Yeah.
It's interesting that they're doing that. And I get why they would file a patent around it because, they don't want to go and spend a bunch of time building this stuff. And then it pops up at a similar or at another theme park, right? Like not even like Universal, but like if somewhere else just does, it's like, oh, Disney just copied a ride that's at like some some theme park somewhere, right? Like that doesn't.
There are Soarin style attractions at a lot of different places, and I always wonder to myself, I'm like, how can they do that? Doesn't like Disney own the patent to that? Like it's the exact same ride system. Like at Legoland they had one, right? And it's like, yeah, exactly.
Is it really like the same thing? Like it moves like
well,
because I know like there's the suspended like gliding simulator things, but
yeah,
I feel Soarin's a little bit different because of how
brings you up.
Yeah, it moves up and it's got like the huge concave screen, right? Like I guess not all simulators do it as well. And yes, and I know that the screen has distortion and everything as it is at Disney, but I've seen other simulators. I don't know that I've seen one work as well as Soarin does.
That's fair.
Yeah.
The most interesting part of this patent for me though, Trevor, is the second image, which is that would have people load from above the structure. And then it says it would have it shows loading taking place above and guests then being launched downwards.
Yeah, I don't know if I like that.
Yeah, I'm just thinking to myself of like you going over that cliff and then all of a sudden the whole ride, the whole ride vehicle goes down this cliff. Like,
actually, it's funny you mentioned that is, that feels a lot more like those roller coasters where like they stop you at the top. Like imagine if that was a whole ride.
Just the whole ride, you're on the edge of you teetering. Oh yeah, that would be interesting. All right, I think enough about this. I want to move on to this rumor because I'm very interested in this rumor. In the first place I saw this was on Discord. I think Becky sent it in on Discord. And there's two rumors here. So the first is that we talked last week, right, about Disney starting work on the Beyond Big Thunder expansion, which they've been calling the largest expansion ever. And so what the rumor that we're seeing here, and we'll give credit to Mickey Views, which I don't, listen, I don't know how good their sources are, but we're going to run with this because we like to. So just don't take this as being true. This is just a rumor. But the rumor is that Disney is going to build some sort of replication, I guess, maybe, I don't know, reproduction of Cars Land Beyond Big Thunder Mountain.
Cloning Cars Land.
Cloning. That's good. Yeah. That works. Cloning. And create like a whole desert themed land, which I actually think makes a ton of sense because Big Thunder has that desert kind of theme to it. And like, if you just throw another land next to it, then you're just going to have like Big Thunder just sitting out there like a sore thumb, right? Like, the fact that they're trying to, include Big Thunder into that new land makes a lot of sense to me. If that's what they're going to do.
Yeah. Sightlines are definitely important, and it is a fair point to not. Like think about like where Big Thunder is and how do you position stuff around it so that it's not sticking out like a sore thumb. But then I guess so. Looking at this rumor, it's kind of funny that they're like the implications of this is that not just that Beyond Big Thunder, but it's actually implying that like Frontier, or I guess it's not really Frontierland, but like that Frontierland theming goes away and it becomes just desert theming, because Frontierland was not in Disneyland Frontierland is I guess it's like, or I don't know how to, or I guess it is like along Rivers of America in Disney World. Like I'm trying to like put the two of them together, and the problem is that where Big Thunder is, it's really far out of the way, honestly, from everything else in Magic Kingdom. But
it was fine before when it was Splash Mountain, because Splash Mountain kind of continued the theme over to there. But now it's
exactly. But now that like what they're kind of implying is that like all that like Splash Mountain and everything like along Rivers of America is going to be bayou themed, and then it'll transition into a desert theme, and then part of that desert theme is Cars Land, which is like Route 66, makes sense. So I see where you could do that. And then they have like villains behind Haunted Mansion, which I I don't know how much I believe this rumor.
But listen, that makes sense to me though too. Like you could if you're going to tie it into anywhere, you're going to tie it into Haunted Mansion, right? Like, I mean, even though there's not really villains per se in Haunted Mansion,
but that also implies that like Rivers of America is going to just disappear because for a villain's land, it makes it look like if Haunted Mansion was part of that, you need some kind of accessibility into the rest of the villains area.
Yeah,
you wouldn't walk all the way around through like past Tiana's, past Big Thunder and everything to get to this villain's land. But so I don't know. I feel like the Cars Land thing is somebody looking at it, and I'm breaking apart this rumor now. So I feel like somebody was looking at going, well, what's the most desert themed thing at Disney? Because they're looking at Big Thunder and going, well, what makes sense with Big Thunder? Well, Cars Land makes sense with Big Thunder. It's a bunch of, rock face and stuff like that. Now let's talk about, would Cars Land actually make sense at Magic Kingdom? And I don't think it does.
You don't think it makes sense there?
I don't. It's like the thing about Cars Land is that, or like the big attractions there, they would be copies of other rides at Disney World. So the thing is that, it's not to say that, Disney doesn't do copies of their rides. They do it all the time, but like Cars Land, you've already got Toy Story Land, which, the Alien Swirling Saucers and Mater's Junkyard Jamboree are the same ride. So you would have another one of those. And then, Radiator Springs Racers is Test Track with a different finale track on it, like the
more
inside
stuff on the inside. Yeah, there's more animatronics and stuff.
Yeah. The inside of Radiator Springs Racers is far better than Test Track as it currently is, but it is functionally the same ride. So then it brings the question of, why would Disney just, like, when they're talking about this big expansion, this is your opportunity to show off something new, to do something, big and new and different to attract people. If you open a land and go, oh yeah, Cars Land is here, and but it's Test Track, and like it, people go, okay, well I can go over to Epcot and ride Test Track. Why do I need to come to Magic Kingdom to ride Test Track? And it's not that people wouldn't enjoy it, but I feel like they would really be diminishing this opportunity if they just took something they already had and just cloned it over into the space.
Well, that's assuming though that they just did the same rides, right? Like they could still do Cars Land and then do something different, right? I mean, they could. I mean, I don't know what.
I don't know what you would do that's better than Radiator Springs Racers and Cars Land. I mean,
that's fair.
Because I mean, you haven't ridden it, like it's a way better ride than Test Track. Like I'm sure people are sick of me saying stuff like this, is that, it's like the whole Indiana Jones versus dinosaur thing. And it's like, if you've ridden the rides in Disneyland that are better than the rides in Disney World, you become kind of picky about, like, I wouldn't want this over here. Like, I don't think it would actually be as good as you think it would be. Right. Like it, I feel like there's a lot better things they could do than just bringing Cars Land over and putting it behind Big Thunder.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I like the idea of having like a desert theme though, but I get what you're saying though too.
I agree. Having it themed to, or keeping the theming with Big Thunder, or, expanding beyond that, Big Thunder, beyond Big Thunder, expanding that is great. But to me, the solution is not take something, that's in another park and just move it over. They already do that enough as it is. And I know it's great for budget. It's cheaper. It lets them do more things because it's cheaper to copy. But like I said, I feel like for the amount that they've said they've invested in this would not, like cloning Cars Land would not be a good investment.
Interesting.
I just don't think that, like, I think that there would be a much better way to approach it.
Okay. I guess we'll find out, right? I mean, this is just a rumor, right? So
Yeah, and also too, and I guess it's, I was going to argue, it's a Pixar thing, and in California, it's a little more California Adventure is very Pixar heavy.
Yeah,
whereas
it's a little more
Disneyland is
delineated.
proper Disney,
Yeah.
but I guess there's not a hard and fast rule on that either. Like I shouldn't say they can't do that because Magic Kingdom is all about Disney stuff, because it's not. Like there is
Buzz. There's Buzz.
Yeah, Buzz is in there. Like it's not exclusive to. It's not saying that they couldn't do more Pixar stuff in the parks either. Right.
Yeah, no, I agree. And actually, there's a good transition to the other rumor that they have as part of this, that part of this land would also be a previously scrapped, basically it's a section of like a Western town that would have a ride featuring Woody from Toy Story. So this was like a concept. But this was a concept that existed for apparently initially for Toy Story Land, and they're trying to say that this would maybe also be part of
that. Okay, that's what they did. They took some old concept art for Toy Story Land, and they're trying to sell it as a new thing. Which, again, I don't see why you would do that. Like, it's the same problem. It's like, well, you've already got Toy Story Land over in Hollywood Studios. Why would you want to come to another park to experience the same thing?
Exactly. Yeah.
Right.
No, 100%.
I mean, to me, it's like going to all the different parks and only getting on Aladdin's flying carpets and Dumbo and the Triceratops spin. It's the same ride in different parks, right?
Well, but we don't know what the Woody ride would be, though. I mean, it could be completely different than anything that exists. But you're right. Like you would have Toy Story in two different places, and I don't know.
And you've already you've already got Midway Mania and stuff. Like it doesn't. I don't know. I just don't feel like there's so much more opportunity for things that Disney has not brought to the park yet. Like the villain stuff. Like the villain stuff to me makes sense because they haven't done a villains type space yet. So yeah. So I'm willing to say, as part of these theories, it's like, okay, fine, maybe that's what they're going for. But, for them to just like carbon copy existing stuff, I don't know why Disney would do that, because I mean, honestly, even when they like clone rides and stuff, like Tron's a good example where it's like, yeah, that ride exists somewhere else, but it was a deliberate move to bring it from, Shanghai to North America. Same thing with Ratatouille is that, they do that because then it's, they get those rides available in more places, and that's, easy to copy it. But when you're talking like East Coast versus West Coast, I don't know how much, I don't want to say they don't do it, but I feel like they're trying not to do that because it also gives each park identity. Right, like it. Yeah, and this is the same kind of thing.
Galaxy's Edge is one where they copied it, but
Yeah, but again, it's I feel like it's not a hard and fast rule, but this one feels a little more like less likely for them to do it because it's like they already have Toy Story Land. Why would they just copy and it's close, like it's not like, oh, it's in California Adventure and like the Radiator Springs thing. It's literally in like a park that you can get to in like 10 minutes. So to me, it just seems like, this seems the most far-fetched thing about this whole rumor.
Yeah. And I mean, you have to think that we're going to find out what is actually going there soon, right? Like, so I think it maybe over the next couple of months, whether it be in summertime or maybe they'll wait all the way till D23. They don't really need to announce anything now. They can wait. Because there's nothing going on. So I'm sure they're going to want to put it out when they want to put it out. So, I mean,
I feel Disney, you're right. They won't necessarily wait for D23. And I'm sure we're going to get they love drip feeding this stuff, right? They'll throw like a little teaser out and whatever, and then there'll be the big announcement at some point. But I'm sure we're going to get more and more hints about Beyond Big Thunder here as we go.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So, I think that's enough of that, right? Yeah. Anything else you want to say about it?
Nope. So
let's be careful
actually
about this one.
yeah. Well, actually, okay. So this next topic this is not a rumor. This is happening.
This is true. Yeah, this has happened.
Yeah, Disney has updated their disability access service policies due to overuse. So, unfortunately, so for anybody that doesn't know, the disability access service is for people that have all kinds of disabilities, so that when they're in the park, it helps them with things like, if they're not able to stand in a queue for a long time, they can use the disability service to get into a virtual queue or pass by lines and stuff like that, because they can't do that. And the problem the problem is that there have been lots of people that have abused this, and even gone so far as, and I'm sure everyone's heard about this. People were hiring, and I'm using air quotes, guides that had disabilities to go with them on trips so that they could make use of this service, which basically functioned as a line skipping tool. And Disney is cracking down on people abusing this, and unfortunately, from what I've seen, their approach to it sounds like it may actually exclude people that do need the service.
Yeah,
I don't want to, or my take on this is, this needs to be available for people that need it. Absolutely. We need to be able to allow people to enjoy, everybody should be allowed to enjoy the parks. I don't know where I don't want to claim that, I have a better solution than Disney. Disney's they're trying something. If it works, it works. If it hurts people, unfortunately, that's a reality of a big complex business like this. One thing I will say that's positive out of this that I saw was that Disney did state that if they catch anybody at this point now abusing the service, they will actually get a lifetime ban from both parks.
Yeah,
which
is good.
Which I think is good. I think it will help stabilize it back to a point where it can actually be used by people that need it. So.
Yeah, and I the other part of this, I know this is, it's somewhat of a controversial change for some. It's interesting because I'm seeing a lot of different reactions to it, right? Where there are those that are like, it's about time that they crack down on this. And then there are others that, you're excluding a lot of other people with different disabilities. And I don't know if there's an answer that's going to satisfy everyone, it's tough, right? But it's good. Sorry, Jericho.
Well, I was just going to say, I think that's where it's good that there is a dialogue around this.
Sure.
Like this is the whole thing is, Disney's trying something. And this is what people need to realize is that, Disney puts out these things and they try something. If it doesn't work, they do listen to people's feedback. Like when we were talking with Kerri earlier, Disney does listen to the people that are coming there, and that includes everybody. And, if they find that, there are scenarios where this doesn't work for certain people under these new policies, the only thing I'll say is, if it doesn't work for you, give them the feedback in a constructive way, because the whole thing about these dialogues, and this is kind of what we're seeing because of social media is, people love to flip immediately to outrage and, this excludes me. I can't do this. This is terrible. And it's like, okay, yes, fair. You're upset and whatever, but give them feedback on that, but give it to them in a way that, hey, I have this disability. This doesn't work, or how can we work through this? Right. And, then maybe there will be revisions to this policy that they'll account for things to try and make sure that it works for as many people as possible. Again, understanding that unfortunately there is that line, and this is like everything with Disney is it's, and I don't want to trivialize. It's like, this is a very big thing, but
yeah, it is.
But as a comparison, merchandise is another area where Disney is like, hey, they put in policies around it because people abuse it. People will go in and buy up all the merchandise so that they can eBay it. It's the same thing with the disability services. People see there's an angle to abuse it, and they will. And so unfortunately, innocent people do get caught in the crossfire of it. So all I would say is, for anybody that, may be impacted by this, like, give Disney the feedback if it's not working for you, and understand that it's a dialogue. It's not like you can't just, expect that it's going to work for you all the time. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and they mentioned in this announcement too, they said over the past 5 years that the use of the DAS system has tripled. Right. So,
yeah.
And it's not to say that anybody's like lying about having a disability or something like that. It's just it brought it beyond what it was originally intended for. Like they had kind of expanded like who they were accepting and how they were accepting it. And so, you can understand too, it's like the fast pass argument, right? It's if you make, if you don't have restrictions on it, then the fast pass line is not a fast pass line anymore, right? There's too many people on it. It doesn't provide the benefit anymore. And if you have too many people using DAS, it's not going to provide the benefit to everybody anymore because those lines are going to get overwhelmed. And, so from what I've seen, the people that are positive on this are the ones that have, been using it a lot and, have felt like, there were people that were maybe not using it in the right way. Right. And also the other thing I want to note here too, Disney mentioned they're going to add more cast members specifically around this. And they're also going to invest in specialized training with a health company to help cast members determine eligibility and for appropriate accommodations. And then it says also add more options for guests needing support in queues. So it sounds like this is an evolving process, right? Because they're saying they're going to add more options for guests needing supports in queues. So, it seems like they're going to try some other things as well to accommodate people because Disney does want to accommodate everybody. But at the same time, like I said, if the system's overwhelmed, then people are not getting the benefit anymore. Right. And so I think it's a tough decision. I'm sure they foresaw that there was going to be some blowback to this because, and I understand it too. Like, I'm not trying to diminish anybody's, if you're upset about this, like Trevor said, be part of the process, right? Like, don't just, post on social media that you're being discriminated against or something like that. Just go and talk to Disney about it. They will accommodate you as any way that they can, right? Like, that's what they do. So
and have reasonable expectations about
exactly.
It. Like, it's not that they will always. And I think this is the problem with the current state of it is that people were using it as a way to get Disney to bend over backwards for them.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And that needs I'm in that boat that, it absolutely needs to be in place and there needs to be restrictions for the people that need it. If you don't need it, stop. Like pay for your Genie Plus, get your Lightning Lane, stop trying to find some way to, skip the line. But also, there's people that don't seem to care about, standing in line either, but that's a whole other.
Well, yeah, there's that whole thing.
Yeah. Like I said, this was, this has been definitely some news or hot news this week that, a lot of people have been talking about it. And, our stance on it is, absolutely, I'm glad that they account for people with disabilities, and I'm glad that they, that they're trying. And I would just say, be patient. Like, if it doesn't work for you right now, that doesn't mean that it's never going to work for you. Like,
no, that's true. And I, like I said, it's hard because we want to talk about this stuff, but we also understand that it's a sensitive topic, Well,
and I'm fortunate that I'm not in a position where I have to use it. And,
exactly.
And so because of that, my perspective on it is different than somebody who is using the service. So I don't want to, I don't want to speak for other people that are using this service. I'm looking at it from the outside.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. All right, let's talk about Paris. You want to talk about Paris?
This is interesting.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting too. That's why I put it on there. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because it's definitely interesting.
So, or do you want to? Or
I just want to. So first, I want to mention. So, like, if you watched the Imagineering story, one of the things they talk about in that is how much of a disaster Walt Disney Studios Park was. Essentially, it was done very cheaply and very quickly. Disney had to build another land there, or at that park, or else I believe they were going to lose their property rights. And so they had to build another park, and they did it very quickly and very badly. And there was the current, I believe it was the current head of Imagineering, was Bruce Vaughn. he said that he was getting a tour backstage or giving a tour backstage, and they were like, or giving a tour of the studio parks, and they were like, "Are we backstage? Like, when are we going to get to the park?" And he's like, "No, this is the land. This is it," because it looks like backstage areas.
Yeah.
So Disney has realized this and is really revamping everything, right? Like they're really been doing a ton of work to the Paris parks, right? Because part of the reason why we didn't get a lot of stuff at like Animal Kingdom, for example, like they had to cancel stuff because originally the Paris park failed pretty badly. It was, there were times it was looking like they might have to go bankrupt. Like it was not a good situation there. And so now they're completely revitalizing it. And I think attendance has been going up significantly there. So, what they're doing now is they're really, they're building new things there. Right. And it says they're overhauling 90% of the park. Yeah. Which is pretty impressive. Right.
Yeah, and the kind of things that they're doing, it's interesting because it seems like they're kind of, or I'm getting two different vibes from this. Is that well, Hollywood Studios / California Adventure, because those parks are very similar for a lot of different reasons. But then also, it feels a little bit like Tokyo Disney Sea.
Oh yeah,
being brought into it, right? Like because they've got this whole like lagoon area going on or Adventure Bay is what they're calling it. But it's
Adventure World, sorry.
Or Adventure World, but then there's the bay, or kind of like World Showcase in Epcot, but
they're basically building a World Showcase lagoon.
Yeah. And it's funny that like you're talking about it. For the longest time it was like you said, Paris was like, oh yeah, Disney, like it's a Disney park, but like, okay, like it never felt like somewhere that, or like on my list of Disney parks, it was like the lowest on the list
of I have to get there. Yeah.
Like, going to Tokyo, going to like, other international parks, like Disney was, or Paris was the lowest one. But, looking at all these changes that they're doing, it's like it's legitimately got me thinking like, could I plan a trip to Paris? Like I actually, I have family in the UK, and, getting over from the UK to France is actually not terribly hard. Like, maybe I plan a trip to Paris.
There you go. Yeah. There you go. I mean, and, to your point, Trevor, like, so they're getting rid of all these like boring facades basically, and they're, really amping them up, and they're trying to make it look like historic movie theaters, and they're building a new entrance. They're also going to be building a World of Frozen. So there's a whole, immersive location that they're going to open, World of Frozen. So, and you probably know what that is, if you would and they don't really say what rides are going to be in. So we don't know if it's going to be like the World of Frozen that they're opening at one of those other parks, which I can't think of which one it is right now. I want to say it's Hong Kong. But
that was that was an expansion to Tokyo Disney Sea.
It was Tokyo. Yeah. Tokyo. Yeah. Sorry. My bad. So, I mean, they're building that. And then, like you said, they're building this bay. The interesting thing too, they have a whole Tangled area, and I was looking at this little Tangled ride, and I'm wondering, Trevor, is this teacups, or is it the alien swirling saucers? And they just threw Tangled theming on it.
It kind of looks like teacups to me.
It does, right?
Yeah. The positioning of the cars makes me think more teacups than alien swirling saucers.
Yeah, I mean, alien swirling sausage is basically teacups. It's like a teacup with the whip. It's like the ride the whip. So like, I don't know. I mean, it looks pretty cool though. The theming looks really good. And then there's going to be a new table service restaurant, as well as they're going to have a Alice in Wonderland themed show, which is interesting.
That's an interesting choice, because you don't get a lot of, and I feel like Disney maybe they're probably playing to, what, like different countries have different popularity for different Disney characters.
Yeah.
Which, is weird for us, because we're like, oh, Disneyland and all that. It's like, yeah, that's just all Disney stuff. But like, you go to like like Tokyo, and like, you know, like Duffy is like huge, right? So
yeah, Duffy's basically Mickey Mouse at Tokyo.
Yeah. So yeah, the other thing too that I find interesting is there isn't going to be an Avengers campus. So
well, it's already there. That's already there.
Sorry, they're adding to it.
Yes.
And so again, you know, kind of like building up the Avengers campus in California. And the one that kind of threw me for a loop though was the Davy Crockett Ranch bungalows.
That's really random.
I haven't seen Davy Crockett stuff in a minute.
Yeah, that's is that big in? I think didn't they say in the Imagineering story that that French people are really like into like the American West, like the old like that for some reason,
like Wild West stuff. Yeah.
I think they said that in that, and I was surprised by that. So maybe that's what this is all about. I don't know.
I mean, I'll be honest. I would be into that too. Like I would, because I always liked Frontierland, right? Like it's, you know, that Wild West kind of thing. But yeah, it's just weird to see like, oh, they're talking about new Davy Crockett Ranch bungalows. I'm like, what?
Can we also talk about the fact that this Disney Village thing, like the pictures here look exactly like the design of like Connections and Creation, right?
Yeah, I didn't want to say anything, but it almost, I was like, are these like Disney Springs concept arts that they're just like cloning to?
Kind of seems like it.
Yeah. Again, you know, talking about it earlier, you know, Disney does like to clone stuff from international parks. So yeah, they're probably borrowing from Connections and other stuff that they've done recently. It's just funny that it's like new concept art, but literally it's like, I feel like they have like a concept art, like stock template? Photos. Yeah. And, like a just template. Just like write a different name on it. Yeah.
All right, well let's wrap up, Trevor.
I think we've been going for a while here, so yeah, we should probably get out of here.
let's wrap it up. Yeah.
All right. Okay, so as usual, if you guys want to reach out to us, you can always find us at welcomehomepodcast@gmail.com. We love getting your questions and hearing your trip reports and all that kind of stuff. And if you want to find us on social media, you can find us on Facebook as Welcome Home Podcast. You can find us on YouTube as Welcome Home Podcast. You can find us on Instagram as Welcome Home Pics. Also check out our Facebook group, Welcome Home Disney Waitlist, where, you know, we have more conversations with our listeners, and, you know, people share memes and all that kind of stuff. If you're looking for a good Facebook group to join. And if you want to help support the show, you can go to store.welcomehomepodcast.com and you can check out our different merch there if you're needing a new mug or t-shirts and stuff like that. You know, we got all kinds of great stuff in there, and, you know, anything you buy from there just it helps us, you know, keep the show running, because, you know, we do have to still, you know, keep the show running if we want to keep producing it.
There are expenses.
Yep, there are. Yes, there is definitely expenses. And in the same vein, you know, we do have a Patreon as well. So you can go to patreon.com/welcomehomepod, and you can check out our different levels of Patreon support. Again, you know, it all goes towards helping produce the show. Our Patreon supporters, we have exclusive merchandise for them that you can only get through Patreon. It's an exclusive logo that's not available on the main store. And also our Patreon supporters get access to the Discord server, which is yet another place that we love talking with our listeners. So if that's of interest to you, please come check it out. Last but not least, if you're listening on iTunes or Spotify, leave us a 5-star review. It does help more people find the show, because, you know, we like to have more people listening to the show.
Listeners. Yeah.
And you know, if you're inclined, you can always write us a review on iTunes. We do read them out here if people are leaving us reviews. So, you know, write us a review and let us know what you think about the show.
Yeah, and also, and I don't have any this week, but don't forget to subscribe to Welcome Home Podcast so you can be reminded every time you release an episode. I do want to mention to everybody, so Google Podcast has been retired, and so our entire library has now moved on to YouTube Music. So before, we had on YouTube and YouTube Music, we just had our newer episodes, like the past, 10 or 20 are on there.
Yeah.
Now the entire back catalog of all of these shows are available on YouTube and YouTube Music. So just, you can go out and look for those with the changeover. So which is good. If you want to listen back to our old shows.
If you're using YouTube Music, it's just one more place to find us.
Exactly. So you can find us on Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, TuneIn, Stitcher, Spotify, YouTube Music, just about any podcast app out there. Just a reminder to our listeners, Welcome Home Podcast is for entertainment only. We are not employed by the Walt Disney Company, and as such, all opinions we express on the show are our own. So please consult a DVC representative or Disney cast member for more information about anything we talked about today. A huge thank you to DVC Resale Market and Kerri for joining the show today. Definitely reach out to Kerri if you have any DVC resale needs or just questions. Reach out for questions. They love answering questions. So join us next time for more Disney Parks discussion. Of course, more DVC talk. We hope to see you all real soon.
This is Skipper Albert Awol, the voice of the jungle, signing off from Welcome Home Podcast on the DVC.
Do a huddle when we hit its hair. How she can cuddle is no man's affair. I looked around from pole to pole, found her in a sugar bowl.